Welcome to the show, everybody. Welcome to the show. It is your boy Rico No Suave here on a 1-2, 1-2. And you know, we check on a 1-2 for technical difficulties. That's what we do, everybody. Thank you guys so much for bearing with us. We are, of course, in 30 minutes of our regular show itself, but we apologize. Hey, I apologize that we actually had some technical difficulties, but we are here. We are ready. We are ready to go. So don't forget, everybody, make sure you share this video right now. Let everybody know we are here. We are going to do a 45-minute segment today. So we will be going 8:15 Central Standard Time today as well too. But we want to start off and thank you guys so much for all of your support. Man, love you guys, love you guys, love you guys for your support and everything that you guys actually do for us. All right. So we're going to actually get to our autism, everybody. So you already know this is Autism Awareness Month. Hey, you already know everybody that's actually doing great things for the people of autism. Thank you so much. We love you. We thank you so much for everything that you are doing. So this month is our Autism Awareness Month. So make sure you please go ahead and support your local community and everyone that's actually doing great things. And big shout out to Unique Sweets. Big shout out to Daisy Barrios and all of those guys that actually doing something great here in Chicago for autism. All right. So, of course, you may have known or you may have ran through where there is prayers going out for one of our great and one and only Jamie Foxx. So Jamie Foxx actually is having some medical complications right now, and he's actually in a hospital. And, you know, his daughter is actually giving us, you know, some brief information in regards to how he's doing. But they actually found out what was actually going on, and he's now into recovery. You know, of course, if you don't know who Jamie Foxx is from the Jamie Foxx Show and also the comedian, he's a singer, he's a music producer. He's very, very talented, and he's one of our favorites. I know he's one of my favorites. Hopefully he's one of your favorites as well, too. But our prayers and everything goes out to the family as well. So Jamie, we're praying for you, my man. We're praying for your speedy recovery. And, you know, you're just a ball of joy itself, man. So everybody keep your prayers going for my man, Jamie Foxx. We love him, and, you know, we hope nothing but the best and a speedy recovery, because we need you back for laughter. We need you back for entertainment, and we want to make sure that you continue your legacy here in this industry itself. All right, everybody. I got to introduce this gentleman right away. Yes, you already know this gentleman here. How can I say this? When it comes down to Virginia, when it comes down going to Jersey, when it comes down to him being in a Serenaders, hey, growing up, this gentleman has done so many great things to be able to make success happen for him. Now he's like world renowned right now. This man is going on tours. This man is actually singing all over. Making music is what he loves to do. Guys, I want you guys to, stand up. I want you guys to pop your collar. Put your hands together for none other than my man, Sidney Barnes. Let's go. Let's go. All right, Sidney, are you there?
You already know.
What's up, Sidney? How you doing, my man?
How's it going, man? Speaking to you from our palatial palace in where I am. But you mentioned Chicago. You in Chicago?
I'm in Chicago, sir. Yes, sir.
Hey, man, I spent a great deal of time at Chess Records there.
Nice. Nice. Yeah.
I
And
also, I
uh-huh.
also, I also helped start Earth, Wind, and Fire in Minnie Riperton's career. So I got a big background in Chicago.
Man, that's love. And I know because, I don't want to spoil it for everyone, but I do want to get right into it, Sidney. You have done so many great things as well, even starting up. So let's talk up because we got to give respect to the parents, the people, the two people that actually made you actually as far as where you actually got started. So, when you were a kid, what was life with your parents growing up? Because you actually was in Virginia when you grew up, right?
Well, yeah, I was born in West Virginia. I was born in a little coal mining town in Welch, West Virginia. And I was lucky enough to have parents that really loved me. My mother was a school teacher and a preacher's daughter, and my daddy was a vagabond, so a little nice combination there. But they loved music. And during that time, it was the 40s, so late 40s when I'm growing up. So all I heard was country and western music on the radio, and I fell in love with it and bluegrass. And every once in a while they play some blues, but basically it was country and western. But it was
Nice.
always blasted on the radio. Something was always on the radio.
Yeah, and I have to say, I have to say for during that time. Now I know that there was a strong presence of gospel music that you actually had from your mom's standpoint. What was that like growing up, as far as with gospel music for yourself?
Well, the only way that I was familiar with gospel music was when we went to church on Sundays, which we did every Sunday all day, and that was my influence of gospel music. And of course, gospel music has an influence on all people, especially as
Yes.
black folks, because we get in church and clap and make a joyful noise and dance, and it brightens our life. So that was my introduction to gospel music, and I still love it. And it put the soul in me, brother.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And I think a lot of musician that's actually came onto the show. Of course, gospel music was always the base, right? It was the basis of how they actually got started into either singing or playing an instrument. But there was always that gospel. That church was always one of the pathways to basically train yourself in whatever that you actually want to do. So big shout out to your parents, man. I love your parents just because the way you are today. And I have to say that from Virginia. You guys actually moved also to, was it New Jersey? Did you guys go to New Jersey as well?
Well, yeah, my daddy was always when he found out what I was interested in, which was music and the arts and things, because I also am a sculptor and all that stuff. So he wanted to move up north, further north, to give me the opportunities to be around people that had those opportunities waiting for me, and more training and the different group of people.
Yeah.
So my daddy was that kind of guy, and he was always they're always trying to give me what I wanted to help me grow. And we moved from West Virginia to Staunton, Virginia, That's
Okay.
where I grew up in the country, man. It was beautiful there, and I really absorbed the beauty of nature and learned to love people and nature. And then we moved from there to DC,
Okay.
and that's when I got the music bug really heavy in DC.
How old were you when you were actually moving, when you moved to actually DC?
DC was in the mid 50s, so I was like 14, 15. I was like 13, and around 14 and 15, I started hearing doo wop and
Yeah.
Elvis Presley,
Yeah.
and so that shook my soul.
Yeah, when I was reading more about you, you definitely heard the doo-wop. You got the doo-wop, and then of course Elvis Presley came into play. But then you actually started getting into, you started really heavily getting into music, and you formed a group. There was a group. How old were you when you formed the group called the Serenaders?
Well, the Serenaders came in the '60s.
Okay.
Actually, in high school, my mother was a kind of person like she was really into music and plays, and she put on the school plays and trained the church choirs and junior choirs. So she taught me how to put things together to
Yeah.
present. So when I moved to DC and I wanted to sing, I didn't want to sing by myself because I love harmonies from the country stuff, the bluegrass stuff. So I
Yeah.
wanted to do some doo wopping, man. Doo wop, doo wop. So I started putting groups together from the little kids that I went to school with. One of them was a guy named Herb Feimster, who ended up being with Peaches and Herb later. The other
Wow.
was Van McCoy, which you probably heard the name of, and Marvin Gaye sang in my group for a while, and
Wow.
a lot of the guys that became famous later on came through my group at certain times, probably, and that group was called the Embracers.
The
Well,
Embracers.
what happened was I wanted to. The Howard Theater was my mecca. That
Uh
when I
huh.
found out there was a place in D.C. where all the entertainers came to entertain, I knew that was my chance to get into the business one way or the other. So I made little demos, and I went down backstage, and I met the guys from Little Anthony Imperials. I gave them a demo. They fell in love with it, and one thing led to another. And the Embracers ended up going to New York, uh, auditioning for Gone Records at the In and Gone Records, which was the Imperials label. So and when we got back to DC, the group broke up because
Okay.
in New York was too far to get anything done, and we didn't have any idea that anything was going on in D.C. So my parents said, "Okay, we'll move you to New Jersey so you can be close to New York, and you can get over there and you can hang with the big boys, and let's see if you really got it." So that's what they did, and my dad said, "I ain't moving to New York. I put as close to New York as I can get, but I'm not moving to New York." So that was a real beginning of my beginning.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. When you hear about the Serenaders, and of course, when my parents were actually growing up, and you was talking about doo wop, and then you start talking about the Embracers. Like my parents used to know all of those groups that was actually coming up, and it's so cool in regards to the style back then that you guys had with the style of the suits, and then the hairstyle, and also when the ladies. Yes, yes. So, did you
But you know
guys
what?
also?
You know what?
Uh huh.
Let me tell you something.
Yeah.
I wasn't in the original Serenaders. When we moved to New Jersey, I hooked up with a guy named George Kerr, who had the group of Serenaders, and we
Okay.
didn't have a name, so he said, "Well, let's call ourselves the Serenaders," and We became the Serenaders in like 1961, maybe,
Okay.
with the new Serenaders, I should
The
say.
new Serenaders. Yeah. Okay.
And
Okay.
we
So,
and we got it.
uh huh. Say it again.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna ask you. I'm excited too. So, when it came down to you actually going from with the new Serenaders. Who was the original? So when was the old Serenaders formed?
The old Serenaders were formed probably 53.
Okay.
I was.
Okay.
They were older than I was. They were older
Yes.
guys.
Right. Right.
So when I met Judge Kerr, he was a little older guy, and I was forming groups. So he said, and he lived down the street. He said, "Well, I used to have a group called Serenaders, and let's keep the name, and it'll help us out, and we'll just call it the Serenaders." It was just me. He was the original. Him and the bass singer. So we just recruited a couple other guys and kept the name. That's all.
Man, that's so cool, man. That is so cool. So, I'm really excited because I love to hear the roots and the history of different groups, because of course the groups back then are not really what the groups are till today, right? But even during that time when you was going through the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, you can definitely tell how things were changing, during that time. But it was just, everything was so classy, man. And, my parents, I used to watch them dress up to be able to go out and also just, even when they just dressed up and they went out, just dancing, it was, and I was little, I was a wee little kid, right? But it was just when I did see them go out and they were actually dressed up to go out as far as with family members or just friends, it was so great to actually see how they would tell me stories about concerts. Like you said, the Embracers, the Serenaders, the Temptations, and you start seeing how all of you groups came together in one, on one stage just to have a great time singing. And I'm like, wow, man, that has to be classic times. Say it again.
Where'd you grow up?
I grew up in Chicago. In Chicago.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, Chicago had a lot of great groups back then, man.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
I know.
The Spaniels, the Dells.
All
those good groups.
Wow. So
the
when you got the Eldorado, yeah, I know. I heard about that one. Yeah, because my parents used to have the vinyl.
They had some cool names in the day, back in the day, man.
So when you actually, when you guys were actually forming, so of course you met Marvin Gaye, right? And during the time of Marvin Gaye, did you guys ever do any compilations, or did you actually do any jam sessions with him?
Yeah, well, that's how he got in my group, because we had it was a lot of gangs like it is now. There was a lot of gangs going on there. And the one way they had of dealing with that was these centers that they had in the projects. It would have sing-offs, and they'd have groups from different parts of town come, and there'd be like singing contests, and that would make us friendly, and it'd make us get to know each other. Yeah, and it would give us something creative to do. So Marvin was in one of the groups that I saw. And I was looking for a second tenor, and I said, "Man, you got a beautiful second tenor. Would you consider singing in my group?" And he said, "Well, yeah, because I'm planning on leaving my group, because the guys would always switch groups, and like they would girls." So he sang with me for a while, but he wasn't in the group too long because he lived on the other side of town, and gangs were very prevalent back then. So we couldn't go over his side of town and rehearse. He couldn't come over to our side of town and rehearse. Wow. So that didn't last too long.
Wow.
But I knew he had something. I knew he had something special. I could tell back then, Yeah. Because my mom had always taught me how to spot that little spark that people have,
Yeah.
And, so I was always getting the good guys in my group, and and then they would, like I said, Herb. I'm getting with Herb Feimster from Peaches and Herb.
Yeah.
Herb was my lead singer when we got with Little Anthony and Imperials. And Herb, we're getting together in D.C. in July for a little conference thing, doo-wop conference thing they have.
That's awesome, man. That is awesome. We got a lot of people that's actually online right now saying hello to you, Sidney. And, I got to make sure that that there's people that actually love you out here. So John T. for Free says, Hello, everyone. Olga Koftum says hello. Moises Garcia says, let's go. What's up, Moises? Patty Escobar says, we got a legend in the house. We got a legend in the house. Thank you, Patty Escobar. Hello, Rhonda Stramel from Texas. Thank you so much for tuning in. Yes, I am definitely excited, everybody. And you may know I'm super excited. You're listening to none other than my boy, Sidney Barnes, music producer, singer, and songwriter. I'm super happy to have you here. So as we continue to move forward in time, sir, you know, you actually were from Newark, close to New York. Tell us about the story in regards to where did you go next in regards to, you know, your music career?
Well, when I got to New York, I found out that it was just like one place where all of the black entertainers gathered. You know, because the segregation was still heavy back there. It was like the early '60s.
Yeah.
So there's a place. You heard of the Brill Building in New York, where everything started. Well,
Okay.
downstairs at the bottom of the Brill Building, there was a little restaurant called the Turf, and that's where all the black entertainers, when they came in town,
Yeah.
could come and hang out. Jackie Wilson, Lloyd Price, the Drifters, on and on. But because they couldn't come in New York downtown and hang out nowhere else, but this was the place, and plus it was the center of the music thing happening, you know.
Yeah.
So I hung around there, and guys would get me in, and they knew I had that bug happening, and I wanted to do it. So they all pitched in and helped me. They taught me stuff. They told me stuff. I heard stories, but I realized that they weren't the ones that were supposed to be making a lot of money and big stars. They weren't making as much money as my daddy was making. And I went over to the house of one of the Drifters, a friend of mine, and he wasn't living no better than me. So I said, well, this ain't about the music. This ain't about the money in the music. It's about the love of the music.
Yes,
and
sir.
hopefully you can, make money in it. So that was my thing anyway. I didn't care. I didn't care if I didn't make a dime in it. I just wanted, it just made me feel good to be a part of it.
Yeah.
But for what I found out, Rico, what I found out was the universe, this might sound strange to some people, but the universe had chosen me as a kid to do certain things in the business. If it hadn't been for me, a few things wouldn't have happened, and a few people wouldn't have found their way, and a few people wouldn't even continued in it. But I was like I don't know what you call me, but I was always encouraging people because I was either doing it myself or I was encouraging them to do it better.
Yeah.
And when I found out Motown was coming to New York, see, I had already been a background singer for Phil Spector and Lieber and Stoller, all those big hit white guys that were doing things. But when I found out Motown was coming to town, I knew I had to be with Motown.
Yeah.
So when Motown came to town, I was the first guy in the door. In fact, I bumped into the people moving the furniture in, and they said, "What do you want, man?" I said, "I want to audition. I want to set a schedule, audition my group, the Serenaders." And so Ray Gordy, Barry's wife, was in charge, and she told bring them down to a certain time. We were there, and we were ready. Barry was there, and he signed us on the spot once he heard us. And he said, "Who put this together?" And me and Judge Kerr said, "Well, we put it together. Actually, we wrote all the songs and rehearsed all the guys." He said, "Well, I want you guys to help us out with this New York office. I want you to be staff writers, and I want you to be like A&R guys that bring in talent and develop them, and put us on salary too, So that's how I got with Motown. And so every time I come into New York, get the Turf or wherever, after that, I wasn't just a little guy on the corner with a briefcase no more. I was, Motown beach out there.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Let's go. Yes. I love that. And everything is about consistency. Everything is about how you encourage yourself, but also it's all about great karma, right? Because you said that you wanted to help people to actually succeed, but that success was always going to follow you, because when you stay consistent and when you actually encourage yourself to get better, you automatically was the first one at the door. You were hungry. You were thirsty. And I think because you were so hungry, Motown saw that. And now they actually see the greatness as far, well, during that time, they were actually seeing the greatness that you were able to bring to the table, which was awesome. So with music itself, because of course, there's different positions in regards to when you're singing. What was your position as far as singing? Were you a tenor? What was your position in the music industry when you were singing?
Ray Gordy, Barry's wife, wrote a book later on. It was called "Bury Me in Motown."
Okay.
And Barry, of course, Barry Gordy. And in that book, she said, when I met Sidney Barnes, and I realized that he could sing like the Temptations. He could sing everybody's part. He could do, because I after they signed me to write and produce, I just started writing. So we wrote about 100 songs.
Wow.
And I did all the demos. I did all the lead singing. I did all the background singing. And except when it was girl songs, and I would train them, and my buddy George Kerr would help out. He was a very talented guy too. So I was always I could do all the voices. Like I said, I was destined to do this, man. I was just being pushed all the time, and I really didn't ever care about how much money I made. I just loved doing it. And when people saw me with that energy, they came on and followed. Some of them followed my footsteps. But I did everything. And that's what kept me going, was I could sing everything at any time like anybody else. And there's a story to that, too. If we have time, I'll tell you later on.
Yeah, so we definitely going to have a little bit more time. But we're going to have 20 more minutes. But the needless to say, I'm like super excited to be able to hear how, when in Motown itself, because we always hear about Detroit, right? Detroit, Motown, and we hear about all of the acts and the stars that actually comes out when it comes to, different people that actually are in the industry that was just one-offs, that actually came off as one-offs. And then there's ones that actually stayed with it and just continued to grow. There was one person that you called your buddy. His name is George Clinton. Where did you meet George Clinton? And how did that come about?
George Kerr introduced me to George Clinton when we were living in New Jersey, because George Clinton had a barber shop in Westfield, in Plainfield. And George Kerr knew that I was that kind of guy, like a George Clinton kind of guy. Yeah. And so he said, you got to meet this guy. So I went over there and I met George, and we clicked right away, because George and I were made of the same cloth for some reason. I was ahead of the game mentally and spiritually and musically, and so was he. George Kerr wasn't as much.
Okay.
But when George Clinton and I realized that we both were like that, we became close friends, and we are to this day. I mean, I just talked to him the other day.
Nice.
I'm the only person who ever had a legitimate production company with him. He and I wrote a couple of his songs that were popular aside from the Parliament Funkadelic thing. I mean, that's my little brother. So,
oh, man.
That's how long we've been knowing each other, and that's how close we are. When I got into Motown, I helped him get over there in Motown.
Yeah.
And he went to a place called Golden World in Detroit. He called me, and I came in, and that was so we produced a lot of things there. That's a whole nother story. George and I'm getting ready to get with him there and do some things, because we can't keep away from each other,
That's love, man. I mean, that's almost like music and love at first sight when you think about George Clinton. And of course, I always hear from my brothers and sisters as far as when they're listening to anybody that's in that era when George Clinton was actually coming up as well too. Is there any favorite songs that you actually have for George Clinton that you can just sing every day?
Just about every song they did. I'm a big George Clinton fan, so I love all his stuff. I've been on almost every album that he did.
Wow.
I've been on the Funkadelics album. I was on Parliament albums. I wrote some of those songs with him. I mean, we've been in the thing together for a while, So it wasn't like we worked together a couple of times,
Right.
you
Right.
know.
Right. And I gotta, man. And I'm so happy. I'm so happy to hear this, man, because once I go back and I tell my parents, I say, I met someone, Sidney Barnes, and I was like, do you remember the Serenaders, right? And I'm be like, I just interviewed a legend, right? I just interviewed a great guy, and also him and his buddy George Clinton. And it's such a match made in heaven between you two, because it's always good to have people that will be able to click with you, even from the beginning, even from the start. And people to be able to enjoy that journey together, meaning that you got that person's back, they got your back. And now it's just, you guys are taking it just, you took it to the next level in regards to the industry. Before we take a quick break, when it came to you singing a tune, is there something that you love to sing for yourself when you're just walking around the house? Is there a song that you always like, it never goes out of your head, that you're always singing?
No, because I'm a fan of so many different genres.
Uh-huh.
At any time, something from any rock song or a jazz song or a reggae song or a blues song will come through your head. So, it's anything, because I'm that kind of guy. I'm a Crosby, Stills and Nash, Led Zeppelin, doo-wopping, funky guy. So everything, I might be singing anything at any time.
I like that. One of our fans loves you, and she said, can he just sing us a line or two? Can you just throw something out there and just sing something for her? Because she really wants to hear your voice.
And what's her name?
Her name is Donna Marie Bird.
Oh, Donna, I have a girl, and Donna is her name. Yeah. That's an old Richie Havens song.
Okay. Man, thank you so much, man.
That girl, and Donna is her name.
Nice.
Don't get me started.
Oh man, Sidney, you are a straight legend, man. She says she's in love with you now. She said she can't help herself now.
Well, I'm 82 years old, darling, and I wouldn't do you no good, but I can sing to you all night long.
Hey, Sidney, I got to do a quick break real quick. I want you to sit back and relax as I talk about something for autism. My man, everybody, if you're not listening, you better listen good, because my man Sidney Barnes is here. Yes, and I love that photo. I think I have that photo that that was on your website. We are going to display that. That's much love, man. I love it. I love it. I love it. All right, Sidney, sit back for 30 seconds, Papa. I'll be right back. All right, everybody, we're going to take a quick break. We got my man Sidney Barnes, but you already know Autism Society, Pura Vida, show your support on Autism Acceptance Month with the Pura Vida Special Edition pack made exclusively for the Autism Society. Everyone, what I want you guys to do, if you can actually do this on Facebook, make sure you go out there. If you support autism, make sure you go ahead and buy this bracelet. Make sure you support them, because you already know Autism Month, and we also support that here on the Rico No Suave show. So please make sure you go ahead and go to Autism Society and make sure you show them some love and buy and support from there. We say Pura Vida, like in Costa Rica, Pura Vida. So thank you guys so much. Let's get back to my man Sidney Barnes. All right, Sidney.
I'm going to go out and buy. I'm going to buy one of those bracelet sets, man. I like that. It's beautiful.
Yeah, yeah. I'll make sure I send you the link so you can go ahead and purchase that from Autism of Society. Okay.
Appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Appreciate you. All right. So, we got to keep moving forward but I do want to show the picture. There was a picture that you just put up on the screen. It's kind of an old school picture that you did, but you look, man, you are a handsome young man. You're a handsome young man. Yes. So we're going to put that on the screen because I want them to see that. I think I have that photo. Yeah. So I think we have that photo. Let me know, my producers, if you see that photo. We don't have that? Okay. All right. Yeah, it's something similar to this one. I love this photo of you right there, sir. This is a beautiful photo of you.
When I was in junior high, and it just goes to show you, I wanted to sing so bad I sing into anything. I'm singing into a little something. I don't know what it is, but they used to call me Little Richard because I had a little hair thing. And I just went in here with when I met George Clinton, he said I can. George Clinton had a barbershop, so I said I just go ahead and get the whole thing done. But the one picture you showed, I was in the white schools in D.C. and because I was always around a lot of white people, and
Yeah.
so I was in school, and they called me Little Richie because the white kids were crazy about black music,
Yes,
but
sir.
people, the older people just weren't into them liking it, you know. So they
Yeah.
love me for that. They love me for that. So right now, I got with a group. I don't know. Well, you probably get to it later, but if we talk about Chess Records, I can talk about Rotary Connection, which is my baby. So
Yeah, yeah. So I have to say with this picture itself, and of course I watched the movie Elvis. I watched the movie Elvis and listening and also looking at the era of how the style was so awesome. But here in Chicago, we got a lot of people that does swing dancing, right? And that doo-wop, right? And swing dancers, they actually still dress that way from the 70s, right? The 60s and the 70s.
and the steppers,
And the
too.
steppers. Okay, yeah, and the steppers have that style too. And I really love that because it really keeps the origin of the style back then. Like this picture here is like of when you were with the Serenaders. I mean, it's just like so classy, but that was happening throughout the world though. Like if you were in a group, you had to have that style, right? And that style was just right then and there. And that's beautiful, man. I really love that as well. Now moving on.
I know, yeah. So no, go ahead.
No,
I was gonna
because
say every time music changes, styles change.
yeah, I
You know what I'm
know.
saying? And they went from that to almost not wearing nothing.
Right?
So I'm anxious to see what it's going to look like in 10 years. 20 years.
We can't be naked singing on the dance floor.
Some of them are doing it now, brother.
Yeah, we gotta bring. Hey, I'm a classy man. Oh, I love it. Oh my goodness, I love it. Hey, so during the time, so when you go to 70s, and then you start going into the 70s, and then you really start going into the 80s. Now, there's a photo that I have to say, the guy, I think it's Ray. What is his name? Who sings? Who you gonna call? Ghostbusters. Is that Ray? I think this photo here.
Yeah.
This photo right here. I love this photo because it seems like it started getting into the era where Luther Vandross and those guys started to come out. When was this actually taken, and where were you at on the music industry level?
That was taken in the 80s, of course, like you said, the Luther Vandross days and all that. But you skipped a whole thing there because I had a lot of other stuff happening in the 60s.
Talk to me.
And I think the guy that had, but it's all right, J.J. Jackson.
Okay.
When I met JJ, he wasn't into much, but he wanted to be a piano player and he wanted to do music. So he and I teamed up, and I taught him how to write songs and how to sing. So we wrote for we worked for a lot of the new companies a lot of the black-owned companies in New York at the time. Because after Motown, they started popping up in Sue Records and a few other places, and we were one of the busiest independent songwriters on the streets at that time because I left Motown, and so and a whole bunch of things happening, but the music changed, and at that period, JJ and I said, well, let's split up because everything's happening another way. So he went to England and did, but it's all right. And I went to Detroit to join George Clinton in his new venture. So that was that whole thing, but it's a whole lot more that I really ain't got time to talk about. But then again, from the time I got with George, George and I produced. I have put together. We have put together the Dramatics. The Dramatics.
Okay.
We did that first stuff when they were little kids,
Yeah.
and a whole story there, but we ain't got time to go into it. And then they had the riot in Detroit. If you see a movie called Detroit, about the burning of Detroit and about the dramatics, how they got caught up in it. They do 2 songs in that movie, and those are 2 songs that I was working on that I had just recorded with them before the city burned down. So, but then from there I went to Chicago and got with Chess Records, and did a whole bunch of stuff. And then from there, that's when I went to L.A. I went to L.A. with Gene Chandler, the Duke of Earl.
Yeah, the Duke of Earl. Yes.
We were partners in a little production thing. So he had a deal with A&M Records, so we went out, and that's when I went out, and I loved it so much I stayed, and I did a bunch of things out there. So with my stuff, you can't skip 10 years and not get a whole lot of information. Because I get confused sometimes myself about all. But Chicago was, I think, probably the most important move that I ever made. And God planned it because I didn't like Detroit. I didn't want to be there, but I heard a voice say, "Go to Chicago," and I went there, and all hell broke loose.
All right, that's what I'm talking about. Well, that's why I'm glad that I'm actually interviewing you from Chicago, because it's a monumental moment. And also, being here in Chicago to be able to interview you, sir, as a legend, and knowing that it was very important and you blew up from here. There's a lot of what we call gems of the world here in Chicago. And there's a lot of monumental and great memories of a lot of great artists, a lot of great groups, and a lot of great clubs that was actually here during the times that you were singing. Right. And, it was awesome. Very awesome.
Yeah. Yep. My good buddy Jerry Butler is there. Gene Chandler, like I said, Duke of Earl, he was there.
Yeah.
It was a great place to be music wise. I hung out with Muddy Waters and all the fellas.
Yeah.
Chess Records was my big turning point because actually when I moved to Chicago, I was going to retire from singing and just be a writer and producer.
Okay.
But Marshall Chess, which was the Sun's owner, Leonard Chess's son, he had an idea. That was during the time when the rock and psychedelic rock was starting.
Okay.
And he had an idea to come back to Chicago from college out there out on the coast and go into the studio and do a record of mixing all the music, gospel, jazz, rock, and blues and all. And so he put me with a bunch of people. Minnie Riperton was a background singer at the company, so she was in it. And we were all just doing something. It was just a concept.
Right.
And Chuck Barksdale from the Hills was on there with us. We cut the record, and the record was a smash. The album was called Rotary Connection. And there was no group. Just a thing. And so anyway, a group came from it, which featured me and Minnie. And
nice.
Minnie Riperton, when I first met her, she was just 18. She was pregnant. She was a sweet little thing, but she didn't know what her future was going to hold. And I worked with her, and I trained her, and I helped her develop that little high thing she does. And because when we got into Rotary Connection, there were no other black acts. There were no other black artists.
Right.
On the East Coast.
Right.
In psychedelic rock at the time. And
Wow.
so we got mixed. We ended up opening for Janis Joplin, Led Zeppelin, the Rolling Stones. I mean, we did the big
Wow.
rock circuit. That's why I tell people now I'm a retired, I'm an 82-year-old retired rock star because we did shows that no other black acts had done or have done
Wow.
since. Well, BB King toured with us, and
Nice.
a lot of the blues acts began Muddy Waters because the white kids back then they were really into the blues.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
every once in a while we hook up, but we were a white act because Minnie and I were the only blacks in the group we had, so
Okay.
we were considered a white act. And
Wow.
Minnie and I found out that crossing over meant more money. It
Yep.
meant more you could ride. You could ride to the shows in limos instead of a station wagon or a bus or public transit. We had
Yeah.
dressing rooms. The money was better. We just became very blown up, and it was big. So we ended up Rotary Connection ended up doing 5 classic albums. And
Wow.
you've heard of the song "Black Gold of the Sun."
Uh-huh. I gotta,
Yeah, that
what
was
I have to listen
go ahead.
to, I have to really sit down and listen to most of your music that you actually have. And because, my parents, they listened to all of that. And I couldn't help but to listen because they had it blasting in the house. Right. And, and it's like 3 o'clock in the morning and they got, all this music playing. And it's like you hear it in your sleep. And I'm like, but there's music that, of course, that you're talking about that I have not actually I need to listen to. I need to educate myself a little bit on Sidney Barnes more with music because
Do me a
you
favor.
got music behind the scenes, right?
What year were you like maybe 17, 18?
Oh man. So I was born in 72, right? So I was a 80s. I was in, going into the 80s. So
Okay. Ask your parents
uh-huh.
if about Rotary Connection. Ask them
Rotary
about Rotary
connections.
Connection.
Okay.
Also, there probably wouldn't have been an Earth, Wind, and Fire as you know it if there hadn't been for Rotary Connection. That's a whole nother story.
Yeah, I got to bring you back on that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got to bring you back on that one. Hey, Sidney, before, of course, we want, oh, so there was a question. Um, Thank you, Patty. She actually made a statement. She said, wow, what an amazing life he lived. Donna, the one who's in love with you right now. She said, wow, Janis Joplin. She said, what about Etta James? Did you meet Etta James?
Met her, didn't know her, didn't hang out with her, but I met her, and she was cool. She was cool people when I met her, but she'd been through a lot by the time I came to Chess.
I
But
see.
she was sweet. She was a sweet lady.
Nice.
Yeah.
So we do have a photo. Of course, I got to let everybody know because you're good friends with George Clinton. So there's a photo, of course, that I really love you two together. So that's it right there. Hey, you guys almost look like brothers, like hands down. Like you guys almost look like brothers. You got, and it's so awesome, man, to have a legend. You both are legends together. And this is so cool, man. This is a blessing.
Yeah.
It's a blessing.
That's my
Yeah,
little brother. That's my little brother. We're the same age, and we're still doing it.
that's right. That's awesome, man. That's awesome. Oh my goodness. Man,
I
so,
love what you're doing.
Sydney, there's so much more to basically talk to you about. I gotta definitely have you back on the show. And we definitely have to. And where are you based out of right now? Where are you based out of right now?
I'm in North Carolina, right outside of Asheville, North Carolina.
Okay. I have to attend one of your concerts, whatever you got going on. We're gonna keep in touch. Thanks to Kathy Carlson for actually having you here. She's like, you gotta have Sidney Barnes on it. You gotta do it. I'm like, yes, send them over, send them over, send them over. But I am like so intrigued in regards to you being a legend that I do have something for you. I got something for you. And
Oh,
check this out. Let me see if you like this. Let's see. Let's see. Can you see that?
yeah, Rico Suave, baby.
I got this shirt. I got this shirt for you, sir. This shirt right here.
Well, listen,
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
let me ask you a question. There was a record called Rico Suave, right?
There was an artist called Rico Suave, but I got the no in front of it, so I'm Rico No Suave.
I was on the track that he used for
Yeah?
that song.
Really?
Yeah. I can't remember now what I did, but if I heard it now, I haven't heard it for a long time. But every time I heard that record, I go, yeah, I'm on that record.
Yeah, man. Hey, this is Rico No Suave. So there's a no in this one right here because Rico Suave is already taken.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
So I got this shirt. I got this shirt for you, and you know what this does? This means a lot to me to give this to you. And I want to say that I want to thank you so much for living the dream, but also I want you to thank you for inspiring us on the show, but also inspiring a lot of people alongside your way. One thing that you did say, it wasn't all about money, but it was all about, encouraging people to do better. A lot of people that actually come up and they actually hit the fame doesn't understand what it means to be able to help other people alongside your journey. And that's exactly what you've actually done. And you got into Motown. You got a good friend, a best friend called George Clinton. You also did a lot of great things as far as with other artists, but also helped other groups be where they're at today. And this means a lot as far as to me here on the Rico and Suave show to present this to you. So this shirt is for you. And I have to say, welcome to the show, my man. Thank you so much. Thank you.
I appreciate it. I'm headed for England in September. I got a bunch of shows to do over there because I'm like James Brown to them over there. So.
Are you telling me that I need to go to England just to see you now? Is that what you're saying?
Well, October, September, I'll be there jamming, baby.
Let's do it, man.
I am going to put a new act together here because a lot of people are kind of talking me into doing some shows again. So over here.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Well, you keep me informed in regards to that.
Thanks for the T-shirt, man. I wear it all the time.
I
I'll
appreciate.
take a picture of it and send it to you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And I definitely want to be. If you're going to do something live, I want to be there live as far as to see you in action, my man, because you're definitely a legend itself, man. You're definitely a legend, sir. And I appreciate it. I got to let you go, of course, because this is the end of our show. But we have to put up your website. So we're going to put up your website because I know people need to understand. When you look at his bio, everybody, of course, you're going to see his bio, but it's to be continued. To be continued. SidneyBarnes.net, everybody. SidneyBarnes.net. You'll find everything about him. A smooth cat, man. Smooth cat, like they say back in the day. It's just so awesome as far as what you have on your website. And please, I want everybody to go out there to support you as well, Sidney. So I want everybody to make sure that they support and actually love everything that you're actually doing, sir.
Thank you, man. I really appreciate your time, brother, man. I appreciate the T-shirt.
Yes,
and I appreciate your audience for being involved. And I just love y'all. I love everybody. I can't help myself.
And we love you back. All right, Sidney, you take care of yourself, man. And we will see you shortly in not too long. I mean, if you're doing something in North Carolina, we coming down to see you, Papa. Everybody put your hands together. Sidney Barnes. Thank you, sir. Take care of yourself, okay? Ciao.
Thank you, man.
Thank you.
Love you, baby.
Love you too.
All right.
All right, everybody. That was my man, Sidney Barnes. I hope you guys enjoyed yourself there. My man, Sidney, is a legend. This takes us to another milestone of what life is all about, and also respecting and acknowledging great people like Sidney Barnes that have done so much that we didn't realize what he has done for a lot of people coming up. I really love this, and I want to thank you guys so much for being on the show. Everybody, of course, I got to show you as far as, we got our social media too, so we're going to put up our social media as well. Make sure you go to www.riconosuaveshow.com. That's where you'll find out more information, and you'll see, of course, the highlight of this show as well as the full interview as well. Don't forget, everybody, we got a lot of great stuff that's actually coming up on the website that you actually need to enjoy with us. Here's the next one. The next one is, boom, yes, at Rico No Suave Show, everybody. Make sure you go to us and follow us on Instagram. Yes, on Instagram, make sure you follow us there. Make sure you follow. Do it now. Forget about it. Let's go to the next one. Facebook. Yeah, I know Facebook. You love us. We love you too. And yes, we are back. Make sure you go to Rico No Suave Show. Make sure you go ahead and like everything that we're doing there. All right, here we go. Here's our next one. Oh, yeah, YouTube. Hey, if you're on YouTube, everybody, make sure you tell everybody to subscribe to the channel. Make sure you go ahead and subscribe to the channel, and we will go from there because we got a lot of great content coming up. You're going to like what we got coming up soon. All right, here's the last one. Boom. Mixcloud.com/Rico No Suave Show. Yes, make sure you go ahead and follow us there. Just click on follow. It turns into a podcast. Audio only while you're driving. So make sure you guys go and do that. All right. Next week, everybody, get ready. Next week, get ready. We have a woman MMA fighter that's going to be, she is hitting the charts, an MMA fighter. We're going to talk about how she exercises, how she works out. Her name is Julia. Everybody, I'll see you guys next week as we end off the show just like this.